Baptist. Sorry for the late devotion. I went out for a jog. It's the first time I could go out today, and hence my devotion is late. I apologize for that. But today we're going to be doing 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. So it's a short piece of passage, but a very powerful one. Nonetheless, it speaks about us as workers, and it reads as thus. It says, let all who are under a yoke as slaves regard their masters as worthy of all honor, so that the name of the Lord and the teaching may not be reviled. Those who have believing masters must not disrespect on the grounds that they are brothers. Rather, they must serve all the better, since those uh, who benefit by their good service are believers and beloved. So it's a great challenge, and I think Paul again is back with Timothy and is suggesting and is giving Timothy pointers to say, in this church, in this group of believers that you are leading, this is what you are to challenge them to, as far as their faith is concerned, and how it's expressed within how their faith is expressed within their work, within their daily work, because Jesus is not just meant to stay with you in the expression within the body, outside of the body. Every time you step outside of the body of believers that you are with, you are amongst the people, that's where your faith is expressed. That's where a chance to shine your light is there. And so Paul is addressing a major part of all our lives, which is most of us spend so much more time at work than we do at home, and even more with the body of Christ. We spend more of our time at work. And in this context, some people were enslaved, and I don't think slavery at that time was quite the same way we think of slavery, but it might have been. But nonetheless, uh, uh, Paul is trying to tell Timothy that despite whatever circumstances at which you serve, here is how you must serve. Here is how you must serve. And Paul addresses two things, and we'll jump to an application. He addresses that there are two types of people that you work for. There are people that you work for who are believers, and there are people that you work for who are non-believers. And what Paul says in this passage is that if you serve in this way, you must regard your masters as worthy of all honor, so that the name of God and the teaching may not be reviled. And so Paul is saying, for all of us Christians, the most important thing is God's name and God's renown. And when you are out there, you are representing the name of God. You are representing who is this God that you serve. You are representing Yahweh. And when you do that, you need to do that. So you need to honor your masters in all honor, so that the name of God, so that when you say you're a Christian, they can say, there it is. That's what makes you different from all my other workers and all my other laborers. And he goes on to say, if you serve someone who is a Christian, all the more because you're serving someone who's a brother and beloved. Don't take it as a chance to take your foot off the pedal. Don't be one of those guys who takes advantage of brothers. Much rather ensure that this person enjoys working with a brother, and not rather come out and say, man, sometimes working with Christians is a disappointment because Christians tend to be lazier for whatever reason. Let that not be the case, Timothy. Tell your people that, man, when they are working for an unbeliever, they must remember God's name is on um, uh, for that laborer, for their master. God's name is on the line, and they get to see who this God is through you. And if you're working for someone who is a brother, you must even do it all the much better, because your good service benefits a believer and a brother. So, what application do I take from this? I think application number one: the separation of the sacred and the secular. Paul is completely against it. Paul over here addresses that everything is sacred. Everything. When we gather, so talking about elders, about deacons, and how we're supposed to honor them, and how they're supposed to serve us and all of that, when we gather, it's sacred. But even when you go to work, it continues to be sacred. When you continue to go to work, remember that you honor God, a God who is great, and his name and his renown should be the desires of our souls. So as you go back to work, as we figure out what work is going to look like in this new season, continue to honor your masters because God's name is on the line. Have a good day.